everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Jurassic World Evolution playthrough. I am your host, Hicksydust, and thank you as always for joining me in another episode, continuing to grow the park. Now, the park might look a little different between episodes 2 and 3. I decided to workshop some things off screen. Basically, the way I had it set up the first time, we had like a cutoff here, so the trail wouldn't have great view of whatever dinosaurs we decided to put in this enclosure. So I decided to just rework that for a little bit. And we're back. So Jurassic World Evolution gives us a lot of options when trying to make our parks. They give us 60 plus dinosaurs, as I've probably previously mentioned. Both herbivore and carnivore, and all ranging in various different sizes. Therefore, they need different needs. We have the greenhouse here to help grow our herbivore diets and help further give us ways to divide the dinosaurs, I guess you could say. Because not every dinosaur will like every type of food. Each dinosaur has its own preferred and harmed by foods. So if you put a dinosaur in a pen with a food that it is harmful to it, it actually decreases its his life cycle bonus, his or her life cycle bonus. And then the opposite happens if you give them food that it prefers, it increases their life cycle bonus, which means it'll just live longer or shorter. So as those grow, we're going to focus on actually now growing our first dinosaur. I'm going to start with one of my favorites in the Jurassic Park franchise. It's a herbivore. Give me one sec. We're going to set up our success rates and our hatchery capacity. For this dinosaur, we could probably just stick with hatchery capacity. I'm not going to tweak its DNA too much. We have the Parasaurolophus. And one of the reasons this dinosaur is my favorite is just the look of it. I just think it's a cool looking dinosaur. So you can use different animal DNA to further change some of the stats. As you can see, with every change I'm making, the rating is going up, but the viability is going down, which just means it's not like the lower the viability, the less likely the dinosaur is to hatch. The higher rating means the higher your park rating will become. We have a lot of patterns here, ranging from the movies to just pre-programmed into the game. So we're just going to pick a couple, rather than having every dinosaur be like a copycat paste of one another. And there we go. And that'll give us some varying looks for the dinosaurs. And like I said, it'll just make every dinosaur... granted, we're cloning dinosaurs, but we don't want them to all look exactly the same. And as we're doing that, we can get an overview of the park and look and see what we could use some of this other space for. For now, let's set up the feeder for the Parasaurolophus. I always like to put the feeders close to the track, so that way, you know, when the tour is going through, it's going to catch some of the dinosaurs. And as always, dinosaurs need water to drink, so you want to create a little pond or lake in your enclosure. There you go, a little watering hole. So we know that a Ankylosaur is a Parasaurolophus is a Hadrosaur. So you want to look for things with that preferred by. Okay. So we know that we could fit triceratopses, we could fit hadrosides, we could fit iguanodons, and we could fit sauropods with this diet. No. Okay, so instead of conifers, we could do palms. And that gave us an extra dinosaur we could put in here. Oh, and our first dinosaur is ready. Let's see what it looks like. All right. Already? That was quick. We just made it, and it's got a common cold. All right. So while we have our car, we might as well tell it to restock our dinosaur feeders. We also need to make sure that it has a path there, so let's get our gates ready. There we go. So we can see just by looking at the dinosaur what kind of... It's going to need a little bit of forest. It needs population to stay happy, so let's go ahead and make the rest of them. And then we can go ahead and figure out where we're going to put our forest. You always want to make sure that when you lay a forest down that you're not going to be blocking any of the visibility. So it's a good thing we have the viewing platform here, but if we were trying to use like a smaller one, like, do I have any set? So if you wanted to go ahead and use one of the viewing galleries instead of the platforms, you would have all these trees blocking your view. So when you use the viewing platform, you kind of give your guests an aerial view where you can look down instead of through the trees. We're going to use our ACU center. And we're going to tranquilize the dinosaurs so that way they are ready for transport to the enclosure. let's do the 1993 Jeep. Yeah, that looks cool. Okay, and now that they are all tranquilized, we can safely move them to the enclosure. And like I said, we do this just to save ourselves the space of having to create a hatchery at every location. Even though it is a little bit more time consuming, you are saving your space by doing it this way.
Picking up asset.
And with everything we have in place, the dinosaur should have a comfortable enclosure.
Heading to collect the asset. Acknowledging asset collection request. Transit has commenced. Assets in the air. Commencing asset transit.
Oh, you can see we already have some guests in the park now that we have our first dinosaur. Which means they're going to want things to do. There you go. Give these dinosaurs a little bit more space.
Feeder resupply request received. Delivery has been completed. Asset transferred.
So they're just on the border with population and social of where you want them to be. They've got enough forest, grassland, and wetlands to make them happy. And this should be a nice sized enclosure for these level of dinosaurs, because these level of dinosaurs, or these specification of dinosaur, can handle a lot in one enclosure. So since we're about 15 minutes in, we have our first dinosaur set up. I'd say this is a pretty good place to break it for next time. And then we'll start talking about some of the guest buildings that the guests are going to need to keep themselves occupied besides just looking at the dinosaurs. Thank you guys again for joining me for another episode. Like and subscribe if you liked what you saw here today. And, well, I hope to see you on the next episode.